Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the season finale of the Veterans of Foreign War Cup Series as we're here in the desert, Phoenix International Raceway, for 156 laps of racing. 4 drivers come into tonight's race: Boyd Hogan, Taylor Butcher Benjamin, Ty McWhirter, and Chad Goonsman, all hoping to leave today with the title of champion. I'm Seth Cole alongside of Samuel Dyer. And Sam, we saw a really good race last night, some battling for that championship position. Here tonight, though, the big question is, can anybody be able to top Boyd Hogan, who's been just so dominant this year?
Yeah, last night it was the BJ McLeod crew of Logan Helton and David Santini going back and forth to see who was going to be winning the championship last night. And here today, just based off of practice and based off of qualifying, based off our 4 competitors, Boyd Hogan is the clear favorite coming into tonight. But, I mean, there's a chance that he might not be the winner of today's race. Caden Rush is coming back and is going to be trying to put a show on with this 2 machine to make this race a little bit more interesting to watch for these drivers. But I'm interested to see who else could possibly make a push here. We've looked at the past, and the 11 of Taylor Butcher Benjamin was quick previously at ISM, and it's going to be interesting to see if that 11 has anything for the 2.
Yeah, you bring up a great point here as we're getting ready to go green about the fact that not necessarily do any of our Championship 4 have to win this race. They just have to finish ahead of their 3 competitors. We got some fast cars up here at the front. Vincent Arthur, Caden Rush, Joseph Pascoda, who's been on a tear the last few weeks. These guys have nothing to lose. They want to finish out the year with a checkered flag.
Vincent Arthur got knocked out of the final 4 last week. Now going to be trying to go for redemption, but Boyd Hogan to the point, starting to pull away. 24 car Vincent Arthur going to duck in front of Caden Rush, wreck in the back.
Whoa, and then we had almost a wreck at the front too, as it's Justin Carey and Greg Newsom having their issue over in what would be 3 and 4, since the start-finish line is in the old location on the front straightaway there. But we nearly had a wreck up there for second place as well.
Yeah, Vincent Arthur right on top of Caden Rush, and it was interesting to see how those drivers were running there. As looking back at it, it just looks like the 21 machine of Justin Carey gets completely loose on entry, and Greg Newsom nowhere to go for that 3 machine.
Watch the 21 there he is, loops it around, and it's hard to tell if Newsom made any contact with that right front or if he was able to turn down to the left just in time before making contact. If there was any contact, looks rather minor for these drivers, but the thing we're going to have to keep an eye on here tonight as well, if we continue to have spins like this, it's certainly going to wear down those Goodyear Eagles, and these drivers coming into tonight's race only have 4 sets of tires available to them.
Yeah, I don't expect anyone to come in and use tires just yet. We had that early caution last night on lap 11 that we saw some drivers take tires and try to go for the longer run. This time around, it seems like on lap 1, a little too soon to use tires, but drivers are coming in to try to get repairs done. Roger Gregory's come in the 54 machine. Greg Newsom did make contact with the 21 of Justin Carey, and Justin Carey at the moment trying to get repairs done. Actually might be done for the day.
That looks like Justin Carey is indeed headed back to the garage area. It's only about maybe, 3/4 of a lap, and Justin Carey's season comes to a close with a DNF here at Phoenix.
Yeah, I believe the rules are if you get loose, you spin out on the first lap, your day is done, you are disqualified, and that's what happened to Justin Carey there. After getting loose in lap number 1, quarter number 3, 21 machines done already. But going up front, Boyd Hogan was pulling away already in the first lap, which was incredible to see for that 2 machine. And cars that have a chance to try to get up there, that's going to be the 11 of Butcher Benjamin, as well as Ty McWhirter and also the 22. They're running all together at the moment, 5th through 7th, and we'll see if they can try to make a push up front. But they've got a couple of machines to get by here, a Pascoda, Rush, and Arthur, if they want a chance at that 2 machine.
And Boyd Hogan won 2 of the 3 races back during the round of 8. The other driver winning, of course, last week at Iowa, and that was Joseph Pascoda, who will roll off from the outside of row 2. But Hogan trying to dominate this race, and you went over some statistics before we even came on the air here, Sam, on just how dominant Boyd Hogan has been, even in the category of laps led, as opposed to his other 3 championship competitors.
Yeah, Boyd Hogan this season, he's led 2,174 laps, and the rest of the competitors, the 3 other drivers he's competing against, combined, they have just over 200.
Hogan back up through the gears, pulling away, leaves the Chevrolets of Caden Rush and Vincent Arthur to battle for second. Rush will clear for the spot. Here comes the 96 of Ty McWhirter. He's just cracked the top 5, got around Pascoda for 4th, now looking to move up into the podium.
Also going to be trying to follow suit. It's going to be Butcher Benjamin in that 11 machine, but digging a little bit too hard.
Chad Goonsman, what a save!
Gets completely out of shape and now going to be dropping back quick, all the way back to 9th place and maybe even further back. Now kind of making a hornet's nest back there for 10th place.
See the 27 of Dalton Collins there to the inside. He's going to try and make a pass on Goonsman. Got 3 cars here tonight that are running the Reaper sponsorship, so it's going to be kind of difficult to tell the 27 and the 22 apart from each other as they are side by side for a spot just inside of the top 10.
End of the season, trying to show off some new schemes to set up for next season, most likely. But Boyd Hogan already up to a half-second lead over Caden Rush. And then compared to the drivers that are hunting for the championship, that's going to be Ty McWhirter, first driver in 4th place. Difference between those drivers, 1.2 seconds. So Boyd Hogan trying to just pull away, and he is doing that as another 2/10 off.
You know, it's really interesting. In last night's National Series race, we saw some drivers get out of shape off of turn 4, not really quite to the degree of what we're seeing these Cup drivers have to deal with here tonight. And we're only 8 laps in and already seeing a number of tremendous saves, as well as that spin that brought out our first caution. What is it about these cars, or is it just the track condition that's causing them to be a lot looser, it looks like, than the National Series drivers were last night?
Well, what's crazy is the track is actually colder, and it should be not as loose as it was last night. Right now, 71 degrees for track temp. Last night, it was around 77 to 78 degrees was the marker there for them. But, I mean, here today, you got a lot more horsepower. You're getting onto the gas maybe a little bit too soon, and you know, we're trying to set your car up to be loose and trying to get as much speed out of it. You'd rather have a car that's loose than tight. For the longer run, and right now we're starting to see looseness be something to watch out for. I mean, already Chad Goonsman involved with the spin. I mean, almost getting spun around. Justin Carey bringing out our first caution. I mean, it is something to watch out for as we're just in lap 10, about to be lap 11 once the leader crosses the line, and continue all throughout the night. You got to keep our eyes out on the cars that are entering turn 3 and 4 because it seems like that is the danger zone.
And as we saw last night, it's all about preserving your tires, and I have to wonder, that little bit of a slideways moment that Chad Goonsman had over there in 3 and 4, how much did that wear down the rear tires, especially here? That's going to be, I think, kind of difficult for him handling-wise the longer the run goes on.
Yeah, some of these drivers have their cars set up for the longer run, that can have a car that lasts pretty well after 15 laps of their tires being ran down. And for other drivers, they've got a short run car that's only good for about the first 20 laps, and then they just start to decline off, and the degradation just kicks in, and the drivers just fade back throughout the field. So right now, we're still early in a run. We'll see once we hit around lap 20 to 23 who starts to fade back and who starts to move forward.
Two-time winner Ty McWhirter trying to reel back in Joseph Pascoda for 4th place. Taylor Butcher Benjamin, the FedEx Toyota, back there as well, trying to make it a 3-man fight inside of the top 5 as Boyd Hogan enjoying nearly a 1.2 second gap between himself and Caden Rush. You talked about, Sam, as well, the likelihood that we're going to see almost the identical pit strategy here tonight that we saw last night. These drivers trying to really just split this race right in half based on the fact the tires can go that far.
Yeah, the range that these drivers are going to be looking for is around lap 75 to 80. That's the zone for the halfway marker. And as far as that's where the cars last night were going in the Rapid Fire Pizza National Series, they went about 70 to 75. These cars have a little bit more fuel in them, and they can go a little bit further than the other series. So expect them to go close to lap 80 for most of our leaders. That's probably where they're going to be going because they want to have the freshest tires by the end of this race. But for drivers that are in the back, like Goonsman, and also for Butcher Benjamin as our back two, they might be thinking about short pitting here, pitting around lap 70 to 75, around that range, while the other two of McWhirter and Hogan looking for around 75 to 80.
Chad Goonsman, the 22, has his hands full with teammate Curtis Sawyer just ahead of them. That's Ty Cole in the 34, who got a little out of shape. Caution!
Caution in the back, and that's going to be Don Collins and more involved.
20 of Chris Hansen involved in the Irwin Tools Toyota. Like he has to teleport that car back to pit road. Almost wonder if maybe he didn't have reverse to be able to back out of what he was up against the wall.
Dalton Collins got absolutely shoved out of the way by the 3 machine and car that had nowhere to go. That's going to be Chris Hansen, who ran into the 27. I think that Chris Hansen might have been stuck in the water barrels. That's why he wasn't able to get out of that position.
Dalton Collins, the 27, out of Premium Motorsports. We'll take a look and see what happens to him heading over into turns 1 and 2. And there's the contact. Ooh, close call for Kevin Roy. And in order to avoid hitting that outside wall, driver will mash the throttle, trying to get the car refired and point in the right direction. Unfortunately, that took Dalton Collins, as you said, down into the path of the 20 of Chris Hansen. And both drivers having to teleport to pit road. So now this caution coming out, 17 laps in. What do you think? Some of these guys coming down pit road?
Yeah, we've got about half the field coming into pit road from 8th on back, led by just Pascoda, and expecting a lot of these drivers to go for 4 tires, fuel, and get back out there. Kind of like what we saw last night when we had our first and only caution of the day on lap 11 for the RPA or the Rapid Fire Pizza National Series. It's the fact that they had a caution on lap 11, came in, got tires. They had 3 tires to work with in pit road, knowing that they were going to only get to pit once on your green flag session. So a lot of these drivers trying to keep an extra pair on top of that, just in case we start having a lot more cautions later on in this race.
2 of our championship competitors stayed out, Hogan and McWhirter. 2 came down pit road. Chad Goonsman went with a 2-tire strategy. Taylor Butcher Benjamin took on 4. Like Joseph Pascoda also took on 2 tires. Ty Cole was on pit road, but it looks like he may have missed his pit stall, and he's coming back down pit road this time around.
Yeah, we got some drivers, like you said, taking 2. Most of the field taking 4, and you got Dalton Collins and Chris Hansen still being towed to their cars at the moment. It's looking rough for these drivers. Greg Newsom did get hit with an EOL because of that contact that brought out the yellow, so the 3 machine will start at the end of the line.
In last night's race, I think we only had 1 caution. We may actually not have had a caution in last night's race. I'm trying to remember. It was either 1 or 0 cautions in last night's race.
It was 1 last night.
Right, so, it kind of made it easy for these drivers to be able to decide when they were going to come to pit road and when they weren't. If we end up seeing a couple more cautions intermingled in this race, it may end up kind of putting some doubts in these drivers' minds of, do I want to come down, give up the track position, and take on tires here? Because it may not be a cut and dry type of pit strategy race for them.
Green flag back out of the air. It's going to be Boyd Hogan leading the charge once again and going to be trying to pull away the best that he can possibly go. As a car to watch out for with those fresh tires, it's going to be the 11 of Taylor Butcher Benjamin back in 10th place. But yeah, no, the tire strategy is going to be something massive to look into if we start seeing more and more cautions coming in every 20 laps or so. Car going wide, that's going to be Curtis Sawyer that really had no grip on the inside. Got on the outside, losing a lot of positions, dropping all the way back to 6th place.
Way up the track, almost to the wall, was Sawyer. That's going to blockade up Joseph Pascoda in the 9, who's now got a wall in front of him with Sawyer on the top. Chris Noble on the bottom, trying to find somewhere to go with his 2 fresh tires, and behind him, the 4 fresh tires of Taylor Butcher Benjamin.
Yeah, for these drivers that stayed out, I mean, that's what we're seeing from Curtis Sawyer as well as Chris Noble, is they're on the back half of the drivers that stayed out, as well as Pascoda, who only took fuel on that last run. As these drivers trying to see if they've got better tires here on the longer run. They've been out there for 21 laps, 2 cautions intermingled there, so able to save their tires just a little bit on these runs, but really got to keep our eyes out on that 11 machine, as right now Taylor Butcher Benjamin trying to be on the move, but really hasn't been able to move up that much. Only 1 position, now 2, up to 8th place.
Kind of riding in the tire tracks right now. Joseph Pascoda letting the 9 car do most of the work of creating a hole to the inside, as both of them now will make the pass on Chris Noble, move them up to 7th and 8th. Next driver they have to deal with is the 12 of Curtis Sawyer.
Chad Goonsman, who went with fuel only, has just been hurting him more and more. Has already went from starting in 9th place back to 14th and continues to drop back for this 22 machine.
We talked about last night where there were 2 teammates out of BJ McLeod Motorsports that were battling for the championship in that series. Here tonight, you've got two drivers out of the Penske stables, the 2 of Boyd Hogan, the 22 of Chad Goonsman. You have to wonder how much information was shared, how much information was withheld between those two drivers, because yes, they're teammates, but both of them have the same goal when they took the green flag here tonight, and that's to hoist that championship trophy.
Yeah, but Chad Goonsman's done this before, where he'll start up front, show a lot of pace, and then drop back, and then by the end of the race, be up front again. Side-by-side action for 5th place. You got Ryan Strunk as well as Curtis Sawyer. As Sawyer going to be trying to make this pass here on Strunk, but now going to be thinking about splitting the middle, possibly was going to be Butcher Benjamin.
They were thinking about 3 wide for 10th back there with Kevin Roy, Ty Cole, and Chris Noble. They thought better of it going into turn 2. As Taylor Butcher Benjamin, he took a peek there to the inside of Curtis Sawyer coming off of 4.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the tires to make this move, but to make it stick and not hurt the other drivers, that's when things get risky. Also, you got John Mullins there, another driver on the fresh tires, and he's going to be trying to make some moves here in that 13 machine. But again, they're boxed in by these drivers in front of them. Ryan Strunk, as well as Butcher Benjamin, as Ryan Strunk and Sawyer staying side by side. Sawyer getting a little bit out of shape there.
And that's going to open the door down low again for Taylor Butcher Benjamin to look to the inside going into turn 1. Pascoda, thinking about finding a line there, was peaking 3 wide, but now tucks in line. The thing about Taylor Butcher Benjamin as well, he talked about how he's kind of slowly working his way up to the front. He's got the fresher tires, but at what point does that tire wear equal out to the drivers ahead of him? When does he lose that advantage?
That's when we're about 20 laps onto a run with these tires, and we're inching closer and closer to that point. In the next 10 laps, that's when these tires are going to be equal. As Kevin Roy gets a little bit out of shape, hitting Ty Cole.
They are racing tooth and nail back there. Ty Cole, Chris Noble, Kevin Roy, Greg Newsom, they've been almost leaning on each other, bumping each other through the corners. So we may not have seen our last caution of the evening just yet, as now it looks like Taylor Butcher Benjamin clear of traffic for the moment. Now setting his sights on John Mullins in the 13. Ryan Strunk in the 77 back there trying to hold off Joseph Pascoda in the 9.
And you might be wondering, where's Boyd Hogan? He's a second ahead of Caden Rush at this moment as that 2 machine continues just to show off how fast he is. And then Caden Rush is getting hounded by Vincent Arthur. And then Ty McWhorter is going to be about 7/10 off of that battle for second place.
Yeah, last week we saw Joseph Pascoda pick up not only his first win of the season, but first win for Hendrick Motorsports as a team here in 2020. So Vincent Arthur would like to become the second driver. Both he and Pascoda made their debuts here in the Veterans of 4 More Cup Series back during the second half of the regular season at Charlotte.
Yeah, both of them have been very strong, kind of both being kind of different in some fashions. Of Vincent Arthur, usually the faster car on the shorter runs. Then once it gets later on, that's when we see Pascoda showing up. As Pascoda, one of the drivers that came into the pits, went with fuel only, and right now running in 8th place. As Vincent Arthur still hounding the 00 of Caden Rush.
Now in last night's race, we saw what was then a battle between Logan Helton and David Santini. We saw Santini go way down there on the apron on the back straightaway, and while that is normally the shorter way around the track and can gain you about 1 to 2 tenths each lap, we really actually saw by the time they got over to turn 3 that he lost some ground. So interesting to see if any drivers really will be using that inside area of the back straightaway dogleg area, religiously each lap. Looks like Vincent Arthur runs down there as Caden Rush out of shape up ahead of him.
Caden Rush able to hold it just for a moment and not wreck out, but now side by side for second place. Also behind them, Ty McWhorter going to be dropping from 4th place back to 6th place. As John Mullins and Butcher Benjamin, the drivers on the fresher tires, trying to make their move forward.
Right now looking at Taylor Butcher Benjamin in the 11 machine. That last time by, he ran a tick slower than Boyd Hogan. 15 laps into this run, we're starting to see now how the tires are beginning to wear on Taylor Butcher Benjamin. He's been able to make good forward progress. He's up higher than he was prior to that caution coming out. Has now slotted himself into the 5th position, and this battle for second, it is not over.
Yeah, it really isn't. The more that they're battling on, though, they're bringing in both the 13 and the 11. John Mullins in that 13 machine, who's right on the back bumper of Caden Rush. He is quick. He's ran the last 2 laps a little bit faster than Boyd Hogan. He might be someone to run him down, but by the time that we see, John Mullins make this pass, those tires might be done. We might be just seeing Boyd Hogan pull away again.
Update on the two drivers that were involved in our second caution. Dalton Collins and Chris Hansen still sit on pit road, currently 19 laps down, 15 cars running on the track as we now have one of them hitting pit road. That's the 54 of Roger Gregory.
And Roger Gregory has had issues before already in this race, so I'm not surprised to see him back in the pits. Might be trying to get some more repairs done. Might also think about getting some fuel back into that 54 machine, but Roger Gregory has come into the pits multiple times already, so I'm not surprised by this. But the pass for third place is underway as Caden Rush under fire by John Mullins and also Butcher Benjamin, and here they come now.
You've got Starcom Racing on the top, Germain Racing on the bottom, as now Rush will hang on to the third spot for the moment. Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota right there as well, as Caden Rush again got really loose through 3 and 4. Mullins looking to take advantage as he almost moved him out of the way.
There might have been a slight contact there. Roger Gregory, who we saw coming to the pits, has officially DNF'd from the race and has parked it for the day.
Caden Rush with that slip up and that little bit of contact now drops from third back to fifth. Move Mullins up to third, Butcher Benjamin up to fourth. You mentioned it, these two drivers are two that came down pit road under the last caution to take on a set of tires.
And they've been slowly marching their way forward, but the thing is, Boyd Hogan isn't dropping off. His lap times have only gone down by 0.3. The rest of the field, 4 or more tenths. Boyd Hogan's just able to keep his, this has been his notorious thing that he's done all season long, is having the best car for the longer runs. So we're really not surprised by this.
Right now, you've got Penske Racing Fords bookending the field. Boyd Hogan leading this race. Things have not worked out for the 22 of Chad Goonsman. Right now, running last car on the lead lap. He's nowhere near in danger of going a lap down right now, as he's still about 9 seconds behind his teammate. But right now, in the 14th position. I don't know about this 22 right now. Obviously, there's a long ways to go in this race, but it seems like he's kind of behind the proverbial 8 ball here in the first half.
Yeah, it's already in a very bad spot. Right now, Chad Goonsman is needing a caution to come out to try to reset this field, get some fresh tires, and maybe get some adjustments for that 22 car to help him get through this field, because right now, this is not good. If we stay green, that 22 machine is going to go a lap down.
Chad Goonsman finished second in the regular season standings. I believe he didn't have any playoff points from the regular season to transfer over into the postseason, so his advancing into the Final Four was all due to just good, consistent runs. He came into this race with a shot at the championship, but a lot has to change here as we start heading closer and closer to the second third of this race for him to get back into this championship picture. Right now, your championship 4 are running as follows. Hogan, the race leader, Taylor Butcher Benjamin in 4th, Ty McWhirter back in 6th, but now hounding Caden Rush for the 5th spot, and Goonsman, as we mentioned, back currently in the 14th position.
Yeah, Chad Goonsman, like you stated, did not have any playoff points going into the playoffs, as well as Taylor Butcher Benjamin didn't have any playoff points to work with. Ty McWhirter only had 6 points to work with in the playoffs. So it's really interesting just to look and see the drivers and the stats coming into this race. Stats-wise, it's crazy to look at the dominance that Boyd Hogan has had starting in this series. He didn't start every race, only started 27 of them, won 14 of those races, had 22 top 5s, 24 top 10s, and like we stated, led over 2,000 laps. A dominant season so far, and already you can see it's starting off well, leading every lap of the 42 so far, about to be 43. Sponsorship
there of the Betty Jane France Award on the 96 of Ty McWhirter as he closes up to the bumper of Caden Rush. And reason why Caden Rush is falling back here, as we saw earlier, that car just seems to be really loose on corner exit. I don't know if you saw, Sam, I know you commented on it. What was the reason the 96 dropped back from where he was? Because I think he dropped a couple of spots in the matter of a couple of corners.
Well, the 96 dropped back a little bit. He got a little out of shape on the first start of this race, on that second restart after our first caution, and he just got out of it. Looked like he got loose, dropped back to about 10th place, and then a lot of drivers came into pit, and he's right now was running in 4th place. and now is dropped back just because of John Mullins and Butcher Benjamin driving through the field with those better tires.
Another driver that has really fallen back, and that's Joseph Pascoda. He, along with Chad Goonsman, went with the fuel-only strategy under that pit stop. Pascoda restarted up in the 4th position. He's now dropped back to 10th.
Yeah, it really hasn't been good for this 9 machine right now, and it was a bold move, trying to go with fuel only, but as you can tell, I mean, just looking at the lap times of what Pascoda is running now comparatively to what our leaders are running, almost about a 1/10 to 3/10 off of what the rest of the field is running right now, and it's showing being about 9.5 seconds off of our leader. But Bassing in front of Pascoda right now, as you've got Ty Cole as well as Curtis Sawyer battling back side by side.
These drivers ran at Phoenix earlier on this season. I believe it was the 4th race of the year. Only 3 of the 4 championship competitors, however, took part in that race. Taylor Butcher Benjamin was the highest finishing of our championship competitors then. He finished in 5th. Boyd Hogan finished in 7th. And Chad Goonsman finished in 10th. Ty McWhorter was not in the event at the time. This is the first time he's taken to Phoenix this season.
And looking at Ty McWhorter, still side by side with Caden Rush, trying to make this pass here for 5th place, but just not able to. Going to be trying to go on the apron here and not able to gain any time. It's going to be Caden Rush that holds off for now, but we'll see if a little bit of backing off, make sure those tires are good enough to make another challenge here. The next couple of laps, here comes Ty McWhorter once again on the back bumper of the 00.
These drivers kind of have a choice to make when they get to the back straightaway. Do they want to cut down through that backstretch on the apron, try and cut the course there, or do they want to approach the battle for position over here for their entry into turn 3? Because very difficult for drivers to be able to have both. You're that far down the racetrack trying to bring it up against the wall to make the apex into the corner. Some drivers are able to do it, but it can be very difficult, especially as well here with these cars because they're carrying a lot more speed than the Xfinity cars did last night.
Yeah, and it was interesting last night because we kept on bringing up the point of why don't you just follow the driver if you're going to be right on their back bumper of that was David Santini and Logan Helton. Is the fact that last night we saw that Santini seemed to be a lot faster through 1 and 1 and also 3 and 4. It was just a backstretch where we weren't seeing any type of gain. If anything, there was a loss because of David Santini going on the apron. So a question of, do you follow the driver until you know that you can beat him out through either turn 1 or through 3 and 4?
Got Goonsman trying to pick up a spot here against Greg Newsom. Oh! Newsom getting the wall a ton off of the corner there on the back straightaway. I think when we come around here, you're going to see he's sustained some pretty good right side damage up just behind that right front wheel.
Yeah, and that's going to hurt this 3 machine even more as he already had damage on the front right due to the contact that he had back with Justin Carey, and then also contact once again with Dalton Collins on the front of his bumper, and now on that right side, complete right side there again. And he's drifting up against the wall some more as Greg Newsom. But this is not the day that he wanted to finish out this season as he continues to drop back. But Chad Goonsman, I think those tires might have equaled out because now we're now starting to see them that 22 car catching up to the 31 and the 34.
Yeah, working his way through the RCR cars. Got by the 3, got by the 8, now the 31 of Kevin Roy just up ahead, who now looks to the inside of Ty Cole. That's a battle for 10th position.
And that's just going to, with them battling side by side, they're going to be using up more of their tires, allowing a chance here for the 22 of Chad Goonsman. Goonsman trying to get back into the top 10. He fell out of it almost immediately on that last restart about 30 laps ago, and now he's trying to make his way past as, that was going to be Chris Noble getting a little bit out of shape behind Chad Goonsman. Goonsman and Cole side by side, and Cole going to be dropping up high and losing that position.
As of right now, it looks like we've got about 8, maybe 9 drivers that have not used a set of tires in this race. Boyd Hogan, Vincent Arthur, Caden Rush, Ty McWhorter, Curtis Sawyer, Ryan Strunk, and Chris Noble. They've not been to pit road at all in this race. And Chad Goonsman and Joseph Pascoda, when they came to pit road, they only took on fuel. As Boyd Hogan continues to show the way, the gap is now opened up to 5 seconds back to Vincent Arthur.
Yeah, right now I've got my eyes out on the 11 machine of Taylor Butcher Benjamin, who's hounding right now the 13 of John Mullins. And it's been close here, and Butcher Benjamin just continues to try to follow where the 13 is. Might be thinking about using a bumper if getting close enough. Try to get the 13 a little out of shape and moving him out of the way. This is one of the few racetracks where you actually can use your bumper. There's just so much space to work with where you can move a car out of the way and they can't save it.
Riding here inside the cockpit of race leader Boyd Hogan, and it's fun to watch that digital dash there because you can see there's hardly any brake input going into this race car, just letting it coast down through the corners, picking up the throttle and continuing on. But the best thing to watch is the hands. That car is handling really good because all you're seeing is his hands turn slightly to the left to turn the race car. He's not turning them back to the right to try and counter steer any loose condition off the corner.
Yeah, and that's the main thing. Run stable, have smooth hands, and if you have that, you've got a very good combination of winning this race. And Boyd Hogan's been doing it all season long. Like we said, 14 wins this season, trying to make it 15 here. I mean, his goal into the playoffs was to win every single race. Wasn't able to do that, but won a lot of races during the playoff stages.
Definitely did. Won 2 of the last 3. Looking to win the most important one here this season, as the win here tonight clinches him the championship as well. You saw the 34 going around him. Ty Cole had just been on pit road moments ago, so he's got much fresher tires than the 2 of Boyd Hogan. The best battle right now in the field is starting to brew for around that 3rd position again. That's John Mullins, Taylor Butcher Benjamin, 2 drivers that it'd be interesting to see here as well, Sam, with the fact that we're closing in on that target lap you were talking about for most of our race leaders to come down pit road. If Hogan and Arthur do come down on lap 70, lap 75, somewhere in that vicinity, does that force the hand of John Mullins and Taylor Butcher Benjamin that they have to come down there too, or can they stay out the extra 10 laps that they've got on their tires?
I would stay out an extra 10 laps or so, but I don't even think we really need to see our leaders come in that soon anymore. With the early 2 cautions, it actually pushes out this fuel run possibly to lap 85 if they want to push it out that far or even further than that. Due to the fact of having 2 cautions, more pace laps, saving fuel during that time, these drivers can go pretty far now. And interesting to see what the drivers with the new tires think about doing here. As another battle I'm watching is going to be this battle for 7th place, where you've got Curtis Sawyer under fire from Ryan Strunk, and Ryan Strunk having a rear view mirror full of the 9 machine of Joseph Pascoda.
Yeah, all 3 of these drivers, I believe, are on the same lap as far as their tires are concerned. Pascoda with a little bit more fuel, as Curtis Sawyer, who was a former winner this season from Bristol Motor Speedway, trying to pull away from this battle now for the 8th position between a couple of Chevrolets.
Trying to do his best is Curtis Sawyer, and got to give credit to Ryan Strunk. He's been pressured heavily by Pascoda here, and Pascoda just not able to find any place to make the pass. And that's the one thing, is later on into a run, you really don't have the tires to throw your car inside or really try any bold moves, because it's more of conserve your tires the later the run goes on, and it's so difficult to make any passes. You're kind of hoping that the car in front of you is running fast enough to either stay with the car that they're in front of or even try to run them down.
And it's interesting, too, because we talk about the drivers here that aren't in the championship picture anymore that want to finish out the season with a win. But even if they can't do that, they want to finish out the season as high in the standings as they possibly can. I mean, we're looking at guys here like Vincent Arthur, Joseph Pascoda, Ryan Strunk. They're all battling to see who's going to finish 5th in the overall standings. Looks like Chris Hansen's going to officially finish 9th in the overall points. So, there's still a lot on the line for these drivers in terms of trying to finish with the best statistic possible as far as the overall standings are concerned.
Also an update for the driver running in 10th place. It's now going to be Chad Goonsman, able to get by Kevin Roy. So Goonsman back in the top 10, but still 17.2 seconds back from our leader of Boyd Hogan. And Hogan at the moment almost 6 seconds ahead of our driver in 2nd place, 9.7 seconds ahead of Tyler Butcher Benjamin, which that is for the championship lead.
But even Boyd Hogan is having to deal with backing down his pace as these tires and the grip starts to go away. That last time around, He was a 2nd and 8/10 slower than his fastest lap here today. So we're seeing somewhere in the neighborhood of about 2 seconds to be gained on fresher tires as this battle for the 4th position going on, and it may have just gone away. Caden Rush was hard to tell if he might have brushed the wall there off of 4 or not. He was definitely very high coming off the corner.
Also, we might be seeing the start of drivers deciding to come in the pits. Chris Noble coming in now and might be thinking about turning this into a 2-stopper.
Noble, who is currently a lap down after coming down pit lane. And it looks like he's going to fall a 2nd lap down. That was Boyd Hogan going around yet again. We're going to go back again to this battle for the 4th position. Caden Rush still trying to reel in Taylor Butcher Benjamin, and now Ty McWhirter in the 96 starting to join this party.
Yeah, starting to see those tires have already equaled out. If anything, you've shown and seen that Butcher Benjamin, the way that he's just been pushing along as well with John Mullins, those tires might have faded away with how much they had to move up. They started this Caden Rush into the wall hard on that right side. You're seeing that damage visibly for the 0-0.
And I'm really worried about that now, because going back to another driver we saw get the outside wall, Greg Newsom, we saw the next couple of corners he took, it was like the car didn't want to turn. And we know that especially here at these type of tracks, that right front takes so much abuse in terms of the tire. Depending on the damage there, that's going to tighten that race car up quite a bit, and you do not want to have a tight race car coming off of these corners that have very limited banking.
Yeah, that was just simply back end, got a little loose, clipped the outside wall, and slingshotted the car back on the front end into the outside wall. And now Caden Rush is going to have to nurse this thing around the course, as it is going to be difficult. He's still trying to push as hard as he can, but that damage looks very rough as he is now going to be trying to pull it into the pits.
Boyd Hogan about to start to deal with some traffic. I believe that is the 3 of Greg Newsom just up ahead that he's about to put a lap down. He's going to have to give way to the fresher tires of Chris Noble there. We saw last night when we had that battle going on between the 2 BJ McLeod drivers how traffic came into play. Elton was able to make his way through traffic pretty well. Santini was having to deal with traffic. Now, obviously, Boyd Hogan's got about 6 seconds to work with, so he can be patient working his way by these machines, but be interesting to see how far up he has to get before those machines start putting up a fight to try and stay on the lead lap.
I'm expecting these lap cars to just get out of the way and recognize, hey, this is a leader going for a championship. Last night, though, we had teammates that were battling hard, with Barry Stevens really being aggressive, and he's been notorious all season long in that national series of really not giving an inch for the leaders. And it's kind of been different here for the Veteran of Foreign War Cup Series, is the fact that these lap cars really respectful, as you saw there. Greg Newsom dumping it to the high side, getting it out of the way.
We also saw the 0-0 of Caden Rush after getting into the wall. He has brought his car down to the attention of his crew. They have now completed the service, but he is going to fall at least 2 laps down to the race leader. I would assume this is going to be his only pit stop of the day should we go green to the end. But to your point, maybe a little bit earlier of a pit stop than he was planning on making.
Yeah, he actually might come out to be about 5 laps short, which is concerning to see. But, I mean, it's still possible, but he's going to have to go into save mode immediately for Caden Rush here if he wants to make it to the end here on this pit stop. Might have to do a splash and go later on.
Now, Boyd Hogan has led every lap of this race pretty much since we went green to start. We need to remind everybody that in order to win the championship, it's just about finishing in front of your other 3 competitors. No bonus point for a lap led, no bonus point for most laps led is going to come into play in determining the champion here tonight. It was important into moving on to the round of 12, into the round of 8, and into the final 4. But here tonight, it's just all about best finishing position.
We had 2 early cautions. Haven't seen anyone really showing that we should have a caution just yet. We've seen Caden Rush get into the wall. Other drivers have gotten loose out of the corner, but right now, everyone looks like they should be good for a green flag pit stop. But here's the thing with Phoenix is it's kind of deceptive coming into this pit stall. If you come in with too much speed, you easily can overshoot it. But most of the time, you see drivers coming in here very cautiously to make sure that they make it into the pit road. That's a lot of time that can be gained if you've got a driver that comes in cautiously in front of you based off of you trying to come in as aggressive and trying to gain as much time as possible on pit road.
thing I'd be worried the most about is we were just on board there with Ty McWhirter going through 3 and 4. We've seen drivers getting out of shape with the banking here on the racing surface. That apron coming to pit road is completely flat, so if your car is getting loose on banking coming out of a corner, I can only imagine how much that car is going to want to snap around on you when you're bringing it down onto the flat surface.
Yeah, it's going to be a little tricky coming on, but I mean, a lot of these drivers, they've been already working on the apron at some points on the backstretch, so they've got a feeling of that way, of the transition and getting that feel. It's more slowing it up, turning a little bit more than what you've been doing and trying to get into pit road. As right now, watching the closest battle on track for 7th place, Pascoda and Ryan Strunk. Pascoda finally got by Strunk, but Strunk is not letting this position go away as he continues to be on the back bumper of the 9.
Joseph Pascoda right now trying to continue on a streak of top 3 finishes. That stretches all the way back to Talladega Super Speedway. He has, if I recall correctly, I think it's 3 third-place finishes, a second-place finish, and a win in his last 5 starts. So trying to see if he can finish out the year with 6 straight finishes inside of the top 3. Right now in 7th, has some work to do to get himself up there, but we are just now at the halfway point, so still plenty of time.
Dalton Collins' night did not go the way that he wanted it to, was caught up in an incident on the second caution of the day. And, Dalton Collins, interesting driver. I mean, coming into this season, I mean, a driver that came in late, almost qualified for the playoffs, kind of someone that everyone was concerned about at some points. And once playoffs came around, the luck has never been on the side of the 27 machine. And finishing out the way that he really didn't want to, back in 17th position, a DNF for Dalton Collins.
Yeah, Collins, a former winner this season, back at the Brickyard, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and as you mentioned, a driver that almost made his way into the playoffs as Ryan Strunk, way out of shape on the back straightaway. Somehow that car remained straight as he was facing 45 degrees to the inside wall.
I don't know how he saved that. I honestly have no clue on how he saved that machine, but at the same time it kind of worked out because he's been running that apron on the backstretch, but somehow that was I think that was a little bit of an overcorrection for the 77 there. Looking back at it, he got extremely loose out of 1, saved it, then got loose when coming back onto the middle part of the backstretch, and that's a nerve-wracking spot for sure.
Yeah, he lost some ground, but he did not lose positions. The drivers that got around him were Chris Noble and Ty Cole, who were lap machines. So he was in 8th when he nearly spun it around, remains in the 8th position, and currently about a second and a half ahead of Chad Goonsman, who's trying to reel him in for that spot. Meanwhile, the battle continues to stay close for that 3rd spot. Ty McWhirter, Taylor Butcher Benjamin, and John Mullins, 3rd through 5th, separated by only about half a second.
And you can also throw in Curtis Sawyer, as he's going to be running about a second off of these drivers. But it's looking like John Mullins through 3 and 4 is really slow, and he's not really giving any space for Butcher Benjamin or McWhirter to make a pass, which is woeing them up and making them lose a lot of time on the drivers in front of them.
Trying to see which of these drivers look like they've got the better long-run setup. We saw John Mullins and Taylor Butcher Benjamin worked their way up through the field here after taking on tires under our second caution. McWhirter kind of faded back, but he's been able to reel back in these 2 drivers. Curtis Sawyer also is another driver that had stayed out. And Mullins, is he coming to pit road? Looked awfully low there through 3 and 4. Yes, he is.
It's the start of pit road action for these drivers, and they were able to push it way further than we thought they were going to. Also, Ryan Strunk is going to be a driver coming into the pits, so 2 drivers coming in now. Lap 35 for these drivers when they came into the pits. 85, excuse me.
As we're watching these drivers making their pit stops, I was actually just looking back, trying to get some information here of what to expect in this race, pre-race, of drivers that had taken to Phoenix here earlier on in the season. We ended up having 33 drivers in that race. Guess how many drivers in the field here tonight took part in that earlier event?
I would say maybe 8.
It's less than that. It was 4. We already mentioned Taylor Butcher Benjamin, Boyd Hogan, and Chad Goonsman. The only other driver in the field tonight that took part in that Phoenix race was the 77 of Ryan Strunk.
Ty McWhorter, as well as Pascoda now coming into the pits, as well as our leader, and Vincent Arthur coming in, and the rest of our front runners, as also Butcher Benjamin, Curtis Sawyer, and we'll see if Chad Goonsman is also going to be trying to come into the pits. It looks like no, he stays out.
Yeah, Goonsman's going to stay out. It looks like Kevin Roy is going to stay out as well. So they will move up to first and second. This is interesting strategy on the part of the 22, who might be trying to stretch it as far as he possibly can go. Remember, he took fuel under the last caution, so he can maybe make it another 10 laps over the rest of the competition. And his goal right now might be to trap as many cars a lap down, maybe get a caution, and not have nearly as many drivers to have to battle for this championship.
The only problem is that there's only one driver that's going to be a lap down right now. Boyd Hogan is right now in third place, even after coming into the pits. That was how much of a gap he had on the rest of the field, as he's about 15.1 seconds back and catching our front runners quick.
Goonsman continues to stay out, as now Curtis Sawyer, I believe Sawyer is coming back down pit road. I think he had already been in. Not sure if this is actually his pit stop or not. Maybe he actually had stayed out, but I don't think he did, because he was running ahead of Chad Goonsman at the time. I think this is a second trip to pit road. Maybe he missed his pit stall the first time around.
That's exactly what happened. He was coming in following Butcher Benjamin, thought he found his pit box, missed it, and had to go back around, and now into his pit box at this point, and finally got his service done. A costly mistake for this 12 machine.
And you talked about coming onto pit road, how difficult it is getting onto pit lane because it's almost like a blind corner. It's equally the same. If you have a pit stall over there heading into turn 1, it is so difficult to know around that curve where your pit stall is. And we've seen at least 3 drivers here tonight have difficulty either under green or under caution finding where their pit stall is in relation to others.
Yeah, for some drivers, with it being the virtual side of things, you don't have a crew chief or a spotter at all times. Sometimes drivers put in applications to help you out, and sometimes you can have a countdown timer for yourself when you're getting close to your box. Other drivers don't. It's based on visuals, and it looked like Curtis Sawyer might have had a visual cue for himself, but was blocked by the 11 to figure out where his box was.
Ty McWhorter trying to make his way around Chris Noble, who right now is running in 8th, but I think he may have to be down pit road at some point before this race is over, as Kevin Roy finally brings his number 31 down to the attention of his crew. It is now 1-2 for the Penske drivers, but Chad Goonsman continues to stay out, about 7 seconds in hand over his teammate.
Yeah, and Boyd Hogan, since coming in 5 laps ago, has cut this lead from about, I believe it was almost 16 seconds at its peak, now all the way down to 6 seconds. And it is closing down even faster and faster each lap.
As things stand right now, when Goonsman comes to pit road, Hogan will re-inherit the lead. Vincent Arthur will be second. John Mullins third. Ty McWhorter in fourth. And Taylor Butcher Benjamin in fifth. And you just kind of feel that for Chad Goonsman right now, he feels like this is a desperation move he has to make. He has to throw that Hail Mary pass, because with the field spread out, the likelihood maybe of a caution very, very slim. Feels he has to try something different here, be off sequence of the rest of the championship competitors, because really since the drop of the green flag, he's kind of been the 4th driver in this 4-man race.
It's a lot of now cross your fingers, hope for caution to help yourself out here, as we're getting closer and closer to almost 50 laps to go for these drivers. Once you get to that point, you're kind of hoping for a caution. For drivers that have an extra set, they can use their set then. And other drivers, they would have to continue to save their set for maybe later on in this race if a late caution comes.
Boyd Hogan has not put a wheel wrong here tonight, but that's not to say that the 2 car is not without error and might not run into some problems. So we have to also keep an eye on what would potentially be the battle for second of the playoff contenders. Ty McWhorter right now holds it in the 5th position, trying to get by John Mullins for 4th. A little bit further back is where you find the 11 of Taylor Butcher Benjamin, and he's trying to hold off the advances of the lap machine of Curtis Sawyer, as well as the 7th place car of Joseph Pascoda.
I just think that Chad Goonsman might have hit his limit. He's going to have to think about pitting here in the next 3 laps or so. And, he was staying out as long as he could, hoping for a caution to come out so then he could be up front, have that track position as well as have fresh tires. But it's not looking good for Chad Goonsman now as Boyd Hogan on the back bumper. 3 drivers officially have to pit to make it to the end. That's going to be Chad Goonsman as well as Chris Noble and Ty Cole. Those 3 drivers, once they pit, everyone is good to make it to the end.
We already know the advantage of fresh tires in terms of lap times. You saw right there as we were on board with Boyd Hogan, just the closing rate and the ability to be able to attack the entry of the corner as well. He was about 3 car lengths back heading into turn 1 and then was on the back bumper of Chad Goonsman before they even got to the center of the corner.
And looking right now, Vincent Arthur with coming in 1 lap early was able to gain some time. It was about 9 seconds difference between the 2 and the 24 before pit stop started, and now it's that gap starting to expand again as it was down to about 7.7 seconds. But right now Chad Goonsman in 2nd place. He's just losing time, but still running out here, to possibly trying to stay out for another 2 laps if possible, and just waiting for a caution if it will come out. While on Boyd Hogan's side, he's just trying to lap down as many cars as possible. As right now he's trying to run down and lap Chris Noble as that 8 machine's right in front of the 2, and then after that it's going to be Ryan Strunk on his radar to lap.
Now, we've talked about the statistics of Boyd Hogan coming into tonight's finale. This is going to be his 28th start. He's got 14 wins on the season, 22 top 5s, 24 top 10s, and over 2,000 laps led. His winning percentage in starts is over 50%. Trips to victory lane of races started. But the car that's behind him right now, that will be eventually inheriting the 2nd position, Vincent Arthur, he did not start nearly that many races. We mentioned he started back at Charlotte the 2nd half of the regular season, but his statistics are equally as impressive despite not going to victory lane. 22 starts, 13 top 5s, 17 top 10s, and 80 laps led. And let's not forget that his season debut was maybe one of the rockiest we've ever seen. Visited the infield grass at Charlotte Motor Speedway not once, but twice, and still managed to bring that thing home in a 3rd place finish.
Yeah, it's wild, all the adventures that have gone on and have happened so far this season for some of these drivers, as Boyd Hogan is slowly chipping away and has lapped Chris Noble. And just looking at this championship-wise, we knew Boyd Hogan was the favorite coming into this race, and we weren't really looking at this as it was going to be a close battle just because of how Boyd Hogan's been dominant. As Chad Goonsman, as long as he could go, he finally has to pull it into the pits.
So Chad Goonsman was able to make it roughly around, looks like, say it was, what?
It was around 80
laps, yeah.
86 or so.
On those set of tires. And he's still going to have 2 sets available to him here if we end up getting a late race caution. Most of these other drivers have 2. Some of them only have 1 available to them, but no, obviously not going to be a championship winning move there for Chad Goonsman, but I certainly applaud him for trying it here, because he was in a situation after the early issue he had, nearly spinning around over in 3 and 4. He had to try something different, and sometimes that's the position you're in, especially, as you just said, with the dominance that Boyd Hogan has had coming into tonight's race, clearly the favorite to try and wrestle the championship away from. You can't follow the same strategy that he's doing. You've got to try something outside the box.
And now we're going to be seeing Chad Goonsman with about 20 to 19 lap fresher tires than the rest of the field, as he's going to now try to pass as many cars as possible, find himself being the first car 1 lap down, and then wait for a caution from there, because a lucky dog position is the next thing that Chad Goonsman has on his sights if we have another caution, as this is looking very similar to last night where we had early cautions and then everyone kind of settled down and started hitting their marks at the end of this race.
The thing that we talked about coming into tonight's race is, yes, we expected Boyd Hogan was going to be the driver everyone was going to be gunning for, but our minds cast back to Kansas, when every car on the lead lap at the time was caught up in a late race wreck, and Ty McWhirter went on to win that race. So in the Veterans of 4-in-1 Cup Series, you can never count anybody out. You can never count any scenario out until that checkered flag is finally waved.
I mean, think of Ty McWhirter in Las Vegas. I think for about 3/4 of that race, you and I were both saying, well, I think he might be out of this thing. There's no way He's got a chance. He was 1 lap down. And then we had all of our front 7 with 15 laps to go all wreck out. And the cars that were 1 lap down, they were able to come out and win that thing. So you never know coming to the end of these races. But we do know another driver that is officially out of this race. Caden Rush in the 00 has parked it for the day.
Yeah, Caden Rush, a great season for him. He's going to finish around, looks like 14th in the overall championship standings, but he's the only driver that was able to win both of the road courses this season at both Sonoma and Watkins Glen. So certainly proved to be a road course ringer, but not the way he wanted to finish out the season for sure, finishing in the garage area in that Starcom Racing Chevrolet. This battle back here, though, has been a lot of fun to watch. They haven't really been side by side, but they've remained in the same zip code. John Mullins, Taylor Butcher Benjamin, and Joseph Pascoda. Now, before, that was a battle for the 3rd position prior to pit stops. Ty McWhirter is ahead of these 3 now, so it's now a 3-man fight for the 4th position.
Yeah, McWhirter, after that pit stop, was actually able to, once he got a 1 lap fresher tires, able to pull and pass these drivers in front of him. And it's been interesting to see how everyone's been able to shuffle it up with these pit road and pit stops that they've had. But, overall, a great run for Ty McWhirter running in 3rd place. But like you said, this battle has been so interesting to watch. But I'm looking at this telemetry here, Seth, and the way that Boyd Hogan is running and where everyone is placed on this track, if we stay green to the end, we might see ourselves only with 2 drivers left on the lead lap.
Yeah, right now, just up ahead of Boyd Hogan is Joseph Pascoda, Taylor Butcher Benjamin, and John Mullins. And then just about 2 seconds ahead of that is our 3rd place runner, Ty McWhirter. So it just shows the blistering pace that Boyd Hogan has set here tonight.
And Vincent Arthur, the driver, like we stated last week, just missed out for battling for the Final 4 and who lost that place to Ty McWhirter. Wondering if Vincent Arthur has anything left, as he's 9.8 seconds back and has been running very similar times to Boyd Hogan. It's just the fact that once pit road happened, hasn't been able to gain any time on the 2.
Yeah, Vincent Arthur threw down the gauntlet early in this race, qualified himself on the pole. It was looking like Boyd Hogan might be starting on the pole position, but Vincent Arthur swooped in at the last minute, stole that pole position away, led them to the green, but it didn't take long before Boyd Hogan showed the speed he had under that Ford, rocketed out to the race lead. Arthur's remained inside the top 3 for most of the day, but right now running 10 seconds back behind that Deuce.
I also want to let everyone know this isn't the last race of the night. Immediately after this race, we've got the FTF Grand National Series with their round of 8. Last round of that, figure out who's going to be racing for the championship at Martinsville. And that's going to be a fun race to watch later tonight.
Absolutely. We've got 2 drivers already locked into the season finale over there on the FTF side. We've got 2 drivers that are trying to hold their position and 4 drivers that are trying to either point or win their way in, and it's at the Paperclip short track as we're getting closer and closer to finishing this one out. Almost to 40 laps to go here this evening as Boyd Hogan just hoping he can continue to hit his marks. And I think if you're Boyd Hogan as well, I'm not sure he's going to mind if a caution comes out, because his launches on restarts have been absolutely amazing. So I think right now for Boyd Hogan, it's just about not making any driver mistakes. I don't think he cares if there's going to be a restart. I don't think he cares if it goes green to the end. I think right now what he cares about is just the driver doing what he has to do.
And I'm looking at the driver's best lap times that they put all night long. Boyd Hogan with the fastest one with a 26.221. The next fastest car is going to be Joseph Pascoda in 6th place with a 26.340. That's over a 10th faster as contact between Pascoda and Butcher Benjamin there as the 9 car gets to the 11, a little bit out of shape.
Nice save there by Taylor Butcher Benjamin as he'll drift back to the 6th spot. Pascoda now moving up into the top 5, very close to maybe seeing a yellow flag right there. We got another battle going on. This is for position a lap down. Kevin Roy and Chris Noble, a couple of RCR teammates, battling for 9th and 10th position.
Yeah, they've been staying close to one another, Chris Noble and Kevin Roy, and Kevin Roy trying to pull away and is doing a great job at that. Right now, Kevin Roy on 24 lap-old tires compared to Chris Noble's 51 lap-old tires. So we're starting to see the difference of fresh tires to new.
John Mullins continuing to hold pace over Joseph Pascoda, who now has about 6/10 back to Taylor Butcher Benjamin. This is still the closest battle on the racetrack as they currently run. We're at less than 40 laps to go. Boyd Hogan, mere moments away from capturing not only his 15th win of the season, but the championship here in the Veterans of Foreign War Cup Series. We're going to step aside here for a commercial break, and then we'll be back for the finish at ISM. You won't miss a thing. We're going FRN side by side.
Since the VFW was founded, their mission was really to look out for the veterans community, to make sure that our nation upholds its promise to really care for the service member, the veteran, and his or her family. There are several ways that the VFW fights for veterans today. The top services include disability claims assistance, advocacy on Capitol Hill and with the Department of Veterans Affairs. We also offer scholarship opportunities, and then also volunteerism. For me personally, when I came back from Iraq, my life experience was drastically different from those around me, and the Veterans of Foreign Wars really spoke to me. The reason I would encourage veterans who have served overseas today to join the VFW is because this is your organization. The VFW is for veterans. Every generation, a new generation of leaders steps up in the Veterans of Foreign Wars and fights for the veterans community.
The Veterans of Foreign Wars. No one does more for veterans. For more information on the VFW, go to ahctv.com/sacrifice.
Most everyone involved in sim racing always wants that edge or even make the experience a little bit better, or in this case, a little bit more in-depth. Enter Iracing Iflag. Iflag is a simulation signal box with software designed by Peter Vostro. When you are behind the wheel in Iracing, you're either looking down the track or maybe even in the rear or side view mirrors. You may not notice or even hear when the caution comes out, when your car is damaged, or if you get black flag, or even notice the car beside you. Yes, Iflag will point out the signs and tell you where that car is. It just makes iRacing more real and can help you become a better driver. We also offer iRacing iFlag Digital Pit Box. This small box is a great addition to any sim rig. With only 3.5 inches wide, it gives you all the information you need, including how many laps completed, how much fuel you will need to finish, what lap you need to pit on, laps till your fuel is empty, as well as weather and track conditions. It also switches when you come down pit road for more information, including what lap you're pitting under, tire wear, laps on tires, fuel average, and much, much more. To see more info, check us out today at iracingiflag.com.
Since the VFW was founded,
Caution's out for the third time here tonight, closing in on 30 laps to go. I think it might have been the 8 of Chris Noble bringing this yellow flag out.
It was Chris Noble on the much older tires, just continuously was drifting through the backstretch. Never looked like he tried to back down to try to save it. He just full throttle drifted that thing until he got to corner number 3, and then the caution was flying.
Well, these drivers have been out there from anywhere to 39 to 40 laps on their tires. Wow. That might go into the save of the year category, as that car never really went around. As you said, drifting it from the backstretch all the way over into the entrance of turn 4, but brings out the caution nonetheless. And I think it's no decision for these drivers. I think everybody's going to be on pit road.
Oh yeah, everyone for sure is coming in, and not surprised by seeing everyone coming in to try to get tires, have the best tires they can. But the question is, for some of those drivers that took tires early in this race, this could be your final set, and you're hoping that the race then goes green to the end.
That caution was a big break for a couple of drivers in particular. Taylor Butcher Benjamin was moments away from getting put a lap down, and Ryan Strunk, because the 11 did remain on the lead lap, he is going to be the recipient of the free pass. Looks like we got a couple of drivers that are going to risk taking the wave around here as well. So these next couple of restarts, if we have some, they could be crazy.
Well, I mean, if we look at the patterns there, Seth, this has happened before multiple times where we have early cautions, a long gray flag run, and then it just for the final 30 laps of a race, it just is caution after caution after caution because the aggression level is ramping up. So many people are going to be so close trying to make some moves. You know Ty McWhorter is going to be making crazy moves here. You've got Ryan Strunk, who's going to be on older tires on the outside. So if anything, you're going to have the 11 and the 96 on the inside trying to get past and hope that outside line doesn't go anywhere.
Free pass car Ryan Strunk is now on pit road. 4 drivers electing to take the wave around. Chad Goonsman, Kevin Roy, Curtis Sawyer, and Chris Noble. We saw him nearly spin it there for this third caution. He's got 63-lap-old tires. That's quite a bold decision to stay out there and take a wave around.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, at this point of the race, it's a odd time to go see yourself staying out there, especially when you were drifting around. But, you know, some drivers to their own on the decisions that they make here at the end of this race.
You almost wonder if we were running the Phoenix that has the configuration with the start-finish line over on the back straightaway. You know, we normally see it, that type of configuration. As soon as the drivers take the green and cross the line, everyone scatters down there to the apron on the back straightaway. But since the start-finish line is over here on the old section of the front straightaway, might make things a little bit difficult in terms of trying to battle into turn 1 for the race lead, because it looks like it will be 3 of our championship competitors on their respective inside lines. Hogan on the inside of row 1, Ty McWhorter on the inside of row 2, and Taylor Butcher Benjamin on the inside of row 3.
And Chad Goonsman, I believe, was going to be gifted. It was going to have to use a wave around, so going to be in 8th place on the lead lap, but on 26 older tires, as all of them are racing to catch up to this lead group that are on the backstretch. It's going to be interesting to see what type of moves these drivers want to make here at the end. As Boyd Hogan, you documented it. If we had another restart, he has been dominant on restarts, pulling away and really having no one able to hold on and catch with them. We'll see how he gets it done here as we're getting ready to go.
With the timing of this caution and drivers taking wave arounds, 13 drivers will come around to take the green, 11 of them currently on the lead lap, as Boyd Hogan, who has dominated today, leads us back to the green, gets another great launch.
Another great launch. That outside row actually stayed pretty strong. Butcher Benjamin going to be stuck where he's at, but Ty McWhorter side by side with Vincent Arthur needs to make this pass now and then try to run down the 2 machine.
He's got to have him cleared over here by 3 and 4 for sure, and he will. Ty McWhorter clear for second, leaving the Hendrick Motorsports Chevrolets to battle for 3rd place. Pascoda way up there through 3 and 4, trying to get to the right rear quarter panel of Vincent Arthur.
And they continue to be racing as hard as they can, but man, are they right on top of one another. Pascoda, Vincent Arthur, they're right on one another. And McWhorter going to be shoved to the outside. Here goes Vincent Arthur, and there's that racing mode. You want to race for the win, but you also don't want to affect the championship runners.
You saw as we were on board there, the roof cam of the 24, just how close it was. The right front of the 24 to the left rear of the 96. They continue to battle off of turn 4. McWhorter will clear again for the spot. Arthur looking low into turn 1. He's got Pascoda all over his back bumper. 3-way battle for the second position, going on about 7 tenths of a second, I should say, behind Boyd Hogan.
And Boyd Hogan needs to just start pulling away. He's loving this racing action. It's now they're side by side for 3rd place. Ty McWhorter is able to get gotten away. But the issue is Boyd Hogan's just had the faster car all race long. Does Ty McWhorter have anything for the 2?
Further back, you've got some good battling for 5th, 6th, and 7th. That's where you've got the 11 of Taylor Butcher Benjamin, the 13 of John Mullins, and the 77 of Ryan Strunk. But it's still the Hendrick drivers, side by side for 3rd place.
And they continue to figure this out. Is Pascoda going to be able to get by the 24 of Vincent Arthur? Arthur now going to just follow suit at the moment. But will we see anyone else be able to move up in front of these drivers? As the 11 car, he's just drifted back. He's about now 4 seconds back. 4 tenths back, excuse me, from the 24 of Vincent Arthur. Taylor Butcher Benjamin, he needs to be moving up now if he wants a chance for our leader and for the championship. But at the same time, Ty McWhirter is losing time. It's a second difference between first and second.
That last time by, McWhirter was 2/10 slower than Boyd Hogan, and as the laps tick away, he cannot afford for the gap to continue to grow. It may be more of a battle for second place for McWhirter rather than battling for the race lead, as now Pascoda, who's moved into third, closes the gap up between himself and that Toyota.
You're wondering how fast Boyd Hogan is running. That last lap that he just ran was faster than most of the field's fastest lap. And that's not even close to what Boyd Hogan's fastest lap has been all race. This Tool Machine is a rocket ship, and it continues to pull away.
Yeah, Boyd Hogan, his fastest lap of the race is actually only a 10th off of the fast qualifying lap that Vincent Arthur put down, a 26.2. I'm not even sure many adjustments have gone into that 2 machine, but we're starting to see the sun starting to go down a least little bit here. I don't know if the track conditions are much different in these final 20 laps than they were at the start of this race, but if that's the case, you have to wonder if little minor adjustments might have been made for these drivers, setting up for this latter stage of the race.
The track temp has gone down slightly, only 2 degrees it's gone down since the start. It started at 71 degrees for the track temp. It's now down to 69. As the drivers continue to race, if anything, with the drivers running around it now, it's actually gone back up since the way of our last pace lap. So interesting to see that the elevation of the track and it's the way that's been evolving, it just continues to go up and down. So even if you're making adjustments, it might not be helping you completely.
Saw Ryan Strunk make the pass on John Mullins. That was for 6th. Further up, battle for 2nd. Still nose to tail between Ty McWhirter and Joseph Pascoda. Pascoda, as we mentioned, trying to continue a streak up to 6 podium finishes in the last 6 races of the season. McWhirter, on the other hand, is trying to battle for a championship. He can see Boyd Hogan, but it translates to 1.8 seconds difference.
It just continues to be gapped more and more. Once we saw Ty McWhirter get up to 2nd place and trying to run down Boyd Hogan, it was 7 tenths. And that's been gapped out even more as it's now up to 1.9, almost 2 seconds now. Boyd Hogan not looking back, just needs to hit his markers. Do not look in the mirror because you know you're faster than the rest of the field. The main thing that Boyd Hogan is concerned about is if a caution comes out, do you stay out or do you go for tires? Certain drivers have already used up their tires. That's going to be Butcher Benjamin, as well as I believe some other drivers of John Mullins has already used up all of his tires. And those are the only ones on the lead lap to watch out for.
And you have to remember, if Boyd Hogan does decide to come down pit road and take on those tires, it would all be the question of where he would restart, because currently, with drivers taking the waiver on into that last yellow, we would have 11 drivers on the lead lap, actually 12, because Ty Cole would get the free pass. So it would all depend on how many drivers Boyd Hogan would have to pass and how many laps he would have left to do it. As this battle for second continues to happen, Ty McWhirter, the only other driver besides Boyd Hogan that advanced into the Final Four with a win. He had 2 on the season. Taylor Butcher Benjamin and Chad Goonsman, while neither one of them have found victory lane this season, they finished 1st and 2nd in the regular season standings. But right now, the 11 running 5th, the 22 who tried the wave around strategy currently mired in the 8th spot.
Yeah, Chad Goonsman, who had to try something so different, not going to be working out for himself. Yes, we have the 4 drivers that are hunting for this championship. Boyd Hogan looking like the favorite once again with 2.3, almost 2.4 seconds over the rest of the field. But Pascoda going for his streak, continuing on with podium finishes.
And he's going to drive it deep there into turn 3, closes up the gap even more between himself and Ty McWhirter. And just looking at the lap times right now, there's no comparison. Boyd Hogan is out there consistently running 2 tenths faster than everybody else behind him.
It's really not looking close at all for these drivers up front as they continue to just race on. It's more of the battle for second place than it is for the lead. Right now, Boyd Hogan has no one to worry about based off of lap traffic that he's trying to catch up to. The next driver he might catch up to could be Chris Noble. But, I mean, that's maybe by the end of this race, the 2 machine might be on the back bumper of the 8.
And you're wondering just how hard Joseph Pascoda is trying to get that second position, using every inch of the racetrack, so much so that over there in turn 3 last time by, that right rear flare actually scraped the outside wall, saw the sparks coming off of it. So he is trying everything he can to drive in just a little bit deeper than Ty McWhirter to move to that second position.
As the drivers continue on more and more, I mean, this gap almost up to 3 seconds. This is insane to see. Boyd Hogan putting down some of his fastest lap times. Right now, the tire wear, though, is over a second. So if a caution comes out, everyone that has a tire set left, they'll have to use it.
Trying to think here of the drivers up here at the front. I believe that Hogan, McWhirter, Pascoda, at least those top 3 I know have another set of tires still waiting for them. I believe Vincent Arthur may also. Taylor Butcher Benjamin, however, I think he may be the highest running right now that would not have a set of tires available to him if the caution were to come out, because he took on a set back during that second yellow flag.
Yeah, himself as well as John Mullins would be the only ones on the lead lap that still that would not have a set still on reserve. So keeping our eyes out if a caution comes out. But for right now, it's still that battle for second place as Pascoda thinking about making a pass here on the 96, but like we've seen, the older the tires go on, the harder it is to make passes unless you want to use your bumper to move the car in front of you.
And we almost had that situation right there through 1 and 2. Pascoda almost got to the back bumper of Ty McWhirter trying to move him up the track. And I think we need to just point out to people as well, you know, you've got these single car entries out here, like Gaunt Brothers Racing. We had Starcom Racing with Caden Rush. The Germain Racing with John Mullins, Spire Motorsports with Ryan Strunk. I mean, these are drivers that have to go out there and not really able to bounce information off of teammates like some of these other teams have that ability to do. So the fact that they're able to come out here and be this competitive, putting a setup together themselves, very, very impressive.
Yeah, it's so impressive in the fact that they've been running so well with the rest of the field. And, you know, just seeing the way that we've seen so many drivers evolve throughout this, we hopped in about midway through the season and just seeing the elevation from there with some of these drivers. I mean, Pascoda and Arthur, drivers that have consistently throughout the playoffs and at the end of the regular season, have gotten better and better and were favorites at the end of these races. And you're seeing it now for this battle for second place. Pascoda, Vincent Arthur on the back bumper of Ty McWhirter.
That was a slower car of Chris Noble, who just got put a lap down again. One of the drivers that took the wave around under the last caution, stacked them up from second back through fourth. Pascoda and Vincent Arthur all over the back bumper of the 96. This is going to be the best battle coming to the checkers, but Ty McWhirter doing a lot of mirror driving, taking away the line that Pascoda wants to run down the back straightaway.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that right now is happening. You're trying to have the best track position just in case an accident comes out at the end of this race. And that's the one thing that Boyd Hogan doesn't want, is an accident, while the rest of the field does, as Vincent Arthur ducking it into the inside of the 9 of Pascoda.
Boy, that's a tight corner to try and make that late a move on the inside. The two Hendrick Chevrolets almost made some contact. They settle it out with Pascoda back to third, Arthur there in fourth. But right now, remember, as we said, for these two Hendrick Motorsports Chevrolets, they've really got nothing to lose. They're trying to finish out the season with a podium finish, so teammates or not, it's now 3 laps to go. All bets are off.
Yeah, it really is. It's all about getting up front and getting the best position you can to finish out this season. And you know, Pascoda and Arthur, they were duking it out, trying to figure out who was going to be moving on to the next rounds during the playoffs. Both of them were not able to make it for the final 4, but still very strong. And then also you got to look back for Taylor Butcher Benjamin, as, oh boy, they're close. A little bit of contact between the 24 and the 9.
There was contact indeed out of turn 4 between the teammates, and I think that may just be the start of it. Here comes Arthur, drives it deep into 1, maybe pushing his teammate through 1 and 2.
And they might be pushing into Ty McWhirter there. But Boyd Hogan, he's just praying for them to stay green for the next lap or so. He's just got to cross the line one more time once we get to the get to the white flag.
It's going to be side by side here for second. Pascoda got a little squirrely on the inside. McWhirter around the top side will take the spot. Here comes Arthur. He's going to try the second groove to get around his teammate for third place, as Boyd Hogan through 3 and 4. This next time around, he'll see the white flag. Little bit of traffic ahead, but he's also got nearly 5 seconds back to this second place battle.
There's going to be one lap car in front of Boyd Hogan. That's going to be Kevin Roy. But this is it. White flag out in the air. And this was a dominating run by the two machine and a dominating season for himself. He just has to pass a couple more corners.
9 of Joseph Pascoda was down on the apron out of turn 4 as they're still side by side between himself and Vincent Arthur for third. Pascoda with a little contact between himself and Arthur in the back straightaway. As off turn 4 for the final time, it's going to be win number 15 on the season and a championship for the Penske Racing number 2 of Boyd Hogan.
And coming out of 4, it's going to be Pascoda that's going to be beating out Vincent Arthur for that third place position. But man, a hard-fought battle for that championship. But I think coming into this weekend, everyone had their eyes on Boyd Hogan. How dominant was his car going to be? Was there going to be a slip-up on the setup side of things? And there really wasn't. That car was geared up for the end of this race and the end of this season.
Oh, gracious. We just had the 24 Vincent Arthur come flying in our camera there on the back straightaway as Boyd Hogan, much like Logan Helton was able to do last night, he'll be winning both race and championship in the same night. So getting ready to burn it down for a 15th time this season. Boyd Hogan ready to celebrate here with the fans in Phoenix.
Yeah, Boyd Hogan, favorite for this season and a great run for himself.
Boyd Hogan, as we said, the favorite coming into this race. A dominating season and a dominating exclamation point here tonight, leading almost the entirety of this race from start to finish. Yes, there was that late caution that made us kind of wonder, would somebody be able to battle him for this late race win? But Boyd Hogan turning back all challengers and getting to reap the rewards here tonight with not only a win, but a championship trophy. Let's take a look at the finishing results from this one. And man, you got to give a pat on the back to Ty McWhirter as well. I mean, that car for most of this race ran around the 5th position. He was able to work his way up to 2nd in the closing stages, had to hold off 2 hard-charging Hendrick Chevrolets. A great end to his year, despite not winning the championship.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these drivers, were putting in everything that they could here at the end and just was not enough.
Vincent Arthur almost able to get that 3rd position from Joseph Pascoda. The streak remains alive. Pascoda will finish out the year with 6 straight podium finishes. Arthur will finish 4th. Taylor Butcher Benjamin, regular season champion, and a driver that was battling for the championship here tonight, will finish in 5th. The other championship competitor, Chad Goonsman, while he really wasn't up in the conversation, he was outside the box in his pit strategy, still finished on the lead lap, finishing the season out in the 8th spot. We'll take a look here at the rest of the finishing results, and we're going to get some interviews with our championship 4, see how they felt here tonight with the conditions of Phoenix International Raceway, and then, of course, find out the elation of Boyd Hogan not only winning the race, but winning the championship. Let's see if we can get our championship 4. Let's start with the driver that will finish 4th in the championship standings here tonight, 8th place finisher, Chad Goonsman. Hey, Chad, it's Sam and Seth up here in the Flatout Racing Network studios. You got us?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Wow, a crazy race here tonight at Phoenix. A lot of strategy coming into play. No more so than that 22 car out there. We saw you stay out a long period of time there during the green flag pit stops. We saw you come down pit road, take fuel under the 2nd caution. Kind of looked like you were one of those drivers that tried the out-of-the-box strategy, trying something different from everybody else to win this championship. Almost worked out for you. Talk about your race here tonight.
Yeah, we had a really good car. I think we kind of went alternate strategies, Boyd, because I was stuck back in traffic after we stayed on that lap 20-ish caution like you guys mentioned. And kind of got swallowed up by the guys on new tires, but car was really good. I think I did the first 102 or 103 laps on that first set of tires. We were still at a 28-1 the lap before I came into pit, so the car was definitely there. We kind of went opposite of Boyd to try to do a little something. I think we had the lead for like 20 or so laps, but we just got the caution at the wrong time, about 15 or probably about 25 laps after we pit, but we were in good position if we would have got a caution. Just came out kind of where we'd gotten lapped, and we're no longer lucky dog and after we had to pit. But just a really solid race.
You know, we talked about during the broadcast the fact that there were 2 Penske drivers, 2 teammates battling for this championship here tonight. How much information was passed between you and Boyd Hogan, and how much was withheld, do you think, since the 2 of you both had the same goal of winning this championship trophy?
Boyd doesn't hold back anything from us. He's probably the best owner on the sim. We get the same stuff he has. He can wheel it a lot better than I can. He puts in a lot of work, so he knows the car a little bit better. I can't thank him enough for all he's done this year, and everybody worked on the set this week. Dave Mercer and Chris Hill did a lot of work. Just can't thank all those guys enough. But no, Boyd doesn't hold back anything. I had all the tools he had. I do go opposite of him to kind of give us a chance to win in that way. If something would not fall our way, we were kind of on separate strategies, and one of us would be out front then.
Well, Chad, we talked about the fact that you've had a great season here. You finished second in the overall standings. You advanced into the Final Four with no playoff points to be able to fall back on. So it just proves the consistency this 22 car has had week after week. Congratulations on a great season here. And we're going to now turn the mic over to you. Let's do some shout outs.
Yeah. Boyd Hogan, everybody at Legacy Sports, Dave Mercer, Chris Hill, who worked on the setup this week, the slip angle guys who help as well. And then just want to thank all of our team sponsors, Reaper Speed Labs, for kind of our setup shop. We provide setups with a Bruzy Racewear, GTR Simulator, and Butt Kicker. And then I want to thank all the league sponsors, Veterans of Foreign Wars, Soda Guys, Iracing, Iflag, Shorebirds Racing Graphics, FSM Customs, and Abiding Love Memorial Urns. And then I want to thank you guys for broadcasting all year, and I hope we get to see you guys again next year.
Well, that's Chad Goonsman. He's going to finish out the season fourth in the championship stands, an eighth place run to finish out the year here at Phoenix International. Once again, congratulations on a great season overall, and looking forward to seeing how you carry this momentum into the Cup Series next year. Let's go down and get our third place driver in the championship standings, and that's the driver that brings home with a top 5 run here tonight. Fifth place, Taylor Butcher Benjamin.
Character.
Hey, Taylor, it's Seth up here in the Flatout Racing Network studios. You got me?
Yeah, I got you.
Oh, man, we saw you had a very strong Toyota Camry out there, kept your car up in the top 5 for the majority of this race. What little bit more do you think you needed to be able to get yourself up into the top 3 and into the conversation for this race win?
Well, I needed Boyd Hogan's car and his setup. He obviously knows what he's doing. And, we've been kind of right there all year, kind of within the, 5th to 7th or 8th range most of the season, but just missing that little bit. And that little bit is only good enough to get third in points. So definitely next season we'll be coming out swinging and looking for some other good sets, and as well as try to improve my own driving, because that could definitely help me as well. But all in all, still a really good season, and also good to end it with a top 5 and third in points. Obviously I'd like to win the championship, but it's nothing to hang your head about.
We talked about the fact that this is the second time you drivers took to Phoenix. You guys were here earlier on in the season of the championship 4, and only 3 drivers that took part in that race. You were the highest finisher that race in the 5th position. Was there anything from that race you were able to apply to tonight's race, or did it seem like 2 entirely different tracks in terms of how you set your car up?
Well, our plan was before we had John Caudle set up, and he was the one who won the first race. We tried that, but just didn't get the same results, probably because of a different tire and different aero, more than likely. So we went with something else, which was still, pretty solid on the long run. Just really only had to make one adjustment all night, just a little bit of increase in air pressure in the right rear tire. But, can't really ask for much more. Definitely gave it our all and just got beat. Not much else to say other than that,
Well, still a great season for you overall, nonetheless. Very consistent. We saw you, of course, win the regular season championship and be able to point your way up here into the Final Four with a shot of winning the championship here tonight. So congratulations on that. We're now going to turn the mic over to you. Let's do some shout-outs.
Well, definitely thanks to Chris Hansen for keeping me on his team all season long. And thanks to other teammates, Tom Laneville and John Caudle, before he had some stuff in his personal life take him away from sim racing, as well as Tim Williams. He subbed a few times during the season and did a great job in the Cup Series as well as in the Xfinity Series, where he ran full time. And definitely thank all the series sponsors, Veterans of Foreign Wars, Soda Guys, Iracing, Iflags, Shorebirds Racing Graphics, Abiding Love Memorial Urns, and FSM Customs. And thanks to Jacob and the rest of the admins to keep this league kind of sane, because there was some rough spots earlier in the year, but for the most part, I think we patched it up. And thanks to you guys for putting on the broadcast, and thanks for all the wonderful fans watching.
That's Taylor Butcher. Benjamin finishes out the season strong with a 5th place run. We'll finish 3rd in the championship standings here for the season. Once again, congratulations on a great season overall, Taylor, and look forward to seeing if you can carry this momentum into the 2021 season.
Yep, thanks a lot, guys.
Let's now see if we can get Ty McWhirter. Mentioned the fact that obviously these drivers had been to Phoenix earlier on in the season. The number 96 Gaunt Brothers car was actually in that race. Different driver finished that race out in the 13th position. McWhirter here tonight puts it in 2nd place. Hey Ty, it's Seth up here in the Flatout Racing Network studios. You got me?
Yeah, I got you.
Man, what a run you gave that 96 car here tonight. We saw you kind of mired back around 5th, 6th for a majority of this race. That late caution comes out. We see you get that late race surge on the restart, move your way up to 2nd place. Man, it just kind of looked like that 2 car was on a different planet, though. Was there anything you could have done to keep him at bay on those final 20 laps or so?
No. Boyd was on a totally different level there. Props to him and props to the work he puts in those setups. I mean, he's just an incredible driver, an incredible setup guy. But no, I mean, that's all I had there with that car, and that was a very tough battle there at the end.
Obviously, drivers, as the race winds down that are in the championship battle, if they know that they're not going to win the championship, they kind of go from championship competitor to just race driver, trying to finish the best they could. We saw you have a heck of a battle with the 2 Hendrick cars, the 9 and the 24, for that 2nd position. So at that point, were you basically thinking, I'm going to hold them off, finish the 2nd position, or wreck trying?
Yeah, honestly, I didn't want to wreck there, but I was still really wanting to finish as good as I could there, as my send off in the Cup Series and all that. But it was a great race there, Joseph and Vincent, and they're great guys to race with. But yeah, just to go out on a high note there on the season.
Well, your season overall was tremendous there, Ty. 2 trips to victory lane, obviously in the hunt for the championship here in the Final Four. The only driver of a single-car race team to advance into the Final Four there for Gaunt Brothers Racing. So congratulations on a great season overall, a great finish here to end out the season as well with a 2nd-place run. And for one final time this year, we're now going to turn the mic over to you, let you do some shout-outs.
Yeah, I'd like to thank veterans of Foreign Wars, Soda Guys, Iracing, Iflag, Shorba's Racing Graphics, FSM Customs, Abiding Love Memorial Urns. I'd like to also thank A to Z Overhead Doors, my mom and dad watching at home, and Joseph Pascoda and Brennan Burcroft for all their support this season.
Well, that's Ty McWhirter. He'll finish 2nd here tonight and 2nd in the championship standings. Once again, congratulations on a great performance overall this year, Ty, and a great finish here tonight.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate your work.
And last but not least, we are going to get our race winner and our champion, and that, of course, is Boyd Hogan. Boyd, it's Seth up here in the Flatout Racing Network studios. You got me?
Yes, sir. I got you.
Well, I mean, we knew based off of last night and based off of the 4 championship competitors we had coming into tonight's race, it was basically going to be whoever won this race was going to win the championship. And boy, did you have a dominant car. At one point, you had nearly the whole field a lap down, almost working on the top 5 before that late race yellow. What was it you were able to find here in a setup at Phoenix that everybody else was lacking? Because that car looked like it had rocket fuel.
I can't take all the credit for it, man. Chris Hill, David Mercer, Cale Gale, we busted ass on this one, man. I'll tell you. This is the hardest I think I've worked on a car in quite a while for myself personally, and I can't thank those guys enough, man. It was a rocket. We found some stuff to take into next year, hopefully, for sure. But yeah, the car won the championship, man.
Yeah, 15 wins on the season. Of course, as you mentioned, you're heading into next year as the defending champion. So talk about next year. I mean, heading into the season, having already won the championship trophy, does it take a little bit of pressure off of you knowing that you've completed the goal of winning a championship here in the Veterans of Foreign War Cup Series, or does that just push you even more to try and go for 2 in the 2021 season?
I mean, I think competitive spirit is going to push you regardless. But overall, I've never won one of these, the Final Four kind of championships, man. I think I've been part of 2 or 3 of them and wasn't able to close them out for whatever reason. And so when the caution came out, with 20 to go. I didn't think it was happening again. So it's more of a stress relief for sure.
Well, Boyd, it's been an incredible season for you. We've seen you go to victory lane now 15 times, over 2,000 laps led, and you added to that here tonight, leading just about every lap here at Phoenix International Raceway. Just kind of seems like the perfect exclamation point to the type of season you've had overall to dominate tonight's race, win the championship. So congratulations on not only your performance tonight, but your overall season performance as well. One final time, Boyd, we're going to turn the microphone over to you and let you do some shout-outs.
Well, I got to make sure I don't miss anybody here. All right, first and foremost, I want to thank Steve. I don't know if y'all can hear him in the background. I got the door shut, but I know I can still hear him. Katie, I know they were watching. Everybody on Legacy. When this year started, it was basically a band of misfits with no teams and really no idea how to build a car. And 2 weeks ago, we had a car that could have won $100,000. And that I've never been more disappointed in my life than I was that night. But everybody on Legacy, Bobby Earnhardt, Cale Gale, everybody at Slip Angle, they've done a lot for me all year. Ray Alfala, Santi Torres, Eric Smith, Dustin Hall was a huge part of our speed all year long, and especially early. I'm still learning sets. Things change every week, and him, David Mercer, Cale Gale, Chris Hill, Derek Runge, everybody who works on these setups every week. It's a learning experience every single week, and I can't thank those guys enough. Dalton Collins, Cam Davidson for the pre-race speeches. I appreciate, love you guys. You guys for putting on the broadcast. VFW, FSM Customs, the league supporters, Austin Derbyshire. I don't know if you guys noticed, but that's a new paint. We got Reaper Speed Labs on it. Trayton Lapsovich and myself started up our own setup shop trying to do everything right. Called it Reaper Speed Labs, and that's probably the nicest car I think I've ever had. So thank you to Darby, man. The cars were always looking good every single week this year. And yeah, that's I think I covered everybody. But yeah, appreciate everybody, man.
Boyd Hogan, exclamation point here tonight. He'll be heading into the 2021 season as champion as he dominates here tonight at Phoenix. 15th win on the season. Not only gets to hoist the winner's trophy, but the championship trophy. Once again, congratulations on a job well done, not just tonight, but during the entire season there, Boyd. Go and enjoy your win and your championship.
I appreciate it, Seth. I'm going to go get drunk and work on Homestead. I also want to thank Curtis Sawyer. He's been my best friend through a lot of this stuff, and it's been a really hard year for me personally. So, again, want to thank everybody in Legacy and him especially.
That's Boyd Hogan. He gets to celebrate here tonight, not only as the race winner, but also as the champion of the Veterans of Foreign War Cup Series. What a crazy couple of nights it's been. We saw Logan Helton have to hold off the advances of David Santini last night to claim the Rapid Fire Pizza National Series Championship. And here tonight, Boyd Hogan, as he said, kind of wondering, is this championship slipping away from me when that late race yellow came out with 20 laps to go? But he held strong, got a great restart, and pulled away to capture not only the victory, but the championship as well. So Boyd Hogan will head into next year as the defending champion of the series. The question is, what momentum will he have going into said season, and what type of competition will he face? No doubt all these drivers here this season, when they return, they'll be stepping up their game, and what new faces may pop into the series as well to try and bring some competition to the table also. For Samuel Dyer, I'm Seth Cole. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in here tonight and during the season. We hope that you guys enjoyed our coverage of the Veterans of Foreign War Cup Series. Be sure to head on over as our broadcasting is not done here tonight. We're going to be getting ready here for the FTF Grand National Series Final Four getting set and determined at Martinsville Speedway. That broadcast is currently underway. I'll be hopping over momentarily to broadcast with Samuel Dyer, who's already over there getting that race going. Who advances to the Final Four there? We're about to find out at the Paperclip Short Track. But for one final time, thanks for tuning in here this evening and during the season for the Veterans of Foreign War Cup Series. Boyd Hogan is your champion, and you've been watching a production here tonight courtesy of the Flatout Racing Network.